Hi guys, today let me make the concept of expense ratio in mutual fund very clear to you because many people used to ask me what is expense ratio and how does that impact your return. So expense ratio is nothing but it's a ratio of total AUM asset under management, which is used towards the expense of running that mutual fund. So these expenses would be the asset managers' fees, the marketing expenses that the mutual fund or fund house would incur, and fund house will again incur some cost towards its legal structure and all the formalities. So all of this together forms the expense of the mutual fund house to actually manage your money, right? So expense ratio is nothing but the ratio of all these expenses over the time period divided by basically the average AUM of that portfolio for that time period. So let's take this time period as 1 year, and in 2024, let's say the X mutual fund has an expense ratio of 1.25 percentage. And suppose a person has invested 1 lakh as of January 1st, 2024, and the expense ratio is 1.25 percentage, and he is actually paying to the mutual fund house every day 3.42 rupees towards its expenses. And suppose let's assume, I mean, this is nothing but multiplying your amount with the expense ratio and dividing it by the total number of days in the year. Now, suppose by July 1st, this amount has given a net return of 6%, and this became 1,06,000. And the expense ratio remains the same, that is 1.25%. And again, as of that day, you'll be kind of paying 3.63 rupees per day towards the expense of this mutual fund. So now it's very clear that why it is said very important that while deciding a mutual fund, you should actually go for the mutual fund which has the least expense ratio. But given that when you kind of selecting the least expense ratio fund, you should actually look for the return also, return and the risk characteristic uh, delivered by that mutual fund over the years. Because it can happen if there is a very um, a knowledgeable asset manager who is actually able to kind of give you a very good return, he might charge you more, right? So doesn't mean every time expense little higher expense ratio doesn't mean it's like very bad investment. But at the same time, if two mutual fund has similar characteristics and similar return and risk profile, it's very much important to select the mutual fund with least expense ratio for your investment. Thanks.